Good morning. I have decided to change my format a little bit on my daily updates. I figure you guys have seen enough of me, and what you really want to do is see where I'm at. And right now I am in Prizer Point, Kentucky at the Prizer Point Marina. I arrived here last night at 7:15 p.m. in the dark, and the trip was basically uneventful other than a few faux pas. The first thing I did in the morning was I had neglected or didn't have an opportunity or forgot to go to the Quilting Museum on Sunday. And so I needed to get that done on Monday. And the Quilting Museum doesn't open up until 10 a.m. So in the morning I got footloose all ready to go, all except for letting loose of the last two tie lines and starting the engine. Then I had a little bit of a breakfast in town, and at 10 o'clock I was in the Quilting Museum. The Quilting Museum, if you are in Paducah, Kentucky, you really need to go to that. It is a changing museum where the quilts change all the time. So every time you go, it's different. The quality of these quilts is just unbelievable. The stitching, the colors, the fabrics, it is just simply amazing. So I finally took off about 11:01 a.m. in the morning. I cruised 70 miles during the day. My average moving speed was 9.4 miles per hour. My maximum speed was 14.3 miles per hour, and I'll get to that a little bit later about why. And so my moving time was 7 hours and 30 minutes. I began at 3,200 RPMs, cruising along about 7 miles an hour. Not really in a big hurry at that time. And then I took a look at my destination arrival time. It was after 10 p.m. at night. Whoa, I did not want to be there at 10 p.m. at night. So I accelerated to 4,500 RPMs, which put me up around in the river about 10 miles an hour, between 10 and 11 miles per hour. And so I'm scooting along through the river, making really good time. Finally got to the Barkley not quilt, but the Barkley Dam. And I had passed another boat, several miles, maybe 10 miles before the dam. And the dam lockmaster wanted to wait for the other boat to get there before he would lock me through. So I waited at the dock for about 45 minutes for the other boat to arrive. It was a long lift, over 300 feet in the air from the river level up to the lake level. So it took a while for the lift, and it was a nice, gentle lift. And we used what's called floating bollards that you tie your rope around, and then as the water rises or descends, the bollard goes up and down with the water. So it works really cool. Once I got into Barclay Lake, it's a big, flat lake. And so I know I'm running out of time. So I decided to cut across and not stay in the channel. That was a mistake. I quickly found that I was beginning to lose water, and I found myself in 2 feet of water. So I had to turn around, backtrack where I came in, because I knew that was safe, get back into the channel, and the channel weaves around Barkley Lake. And so I'm watching the cans, and every now and then I would lose the cans because the channel would make a really sharp turn. And so once again, I found myself in really super shallow water. Had to raise the engine, had to really creep back into the channel, find my way through. And again, I followed my tracks back through again, got back into the channel, and then I stayed in the channel. At that point, I stopped looking at the cans and just focused on my Garmin, watching where I was on the Garmin. Good news, finally my autopilot has began to work, and I think the reason it wasn't working well is because there was still air in the lines. I believe in an earlier chapter I had talked about that I had a hydraulic leak, and I had fixed that. It just took one little turn, just a slight turn, and it sealed it the rest of the way. And at that point, it stopped leaking hydraulic fluid. And when I filled it up, I filled the reservoir up to the point where actually when I would unscrew the lid a little bit, I would get pressure, a little bit of fluid coming out. And so the hydraulic fluid lines were full. And I noticed that when I was in calm water with calm seas, my boat would hold its course. So I decided, let's try out the autopilot in Barclay Lake, and by golly, it works. I am so excited. What is it, November? Since November, so it's now October. So November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, what, almost 11 months, 10 months, something like that. Holy smokes. And so it is really nice actually having an autopilot that works. Well, I finally got here to Prizer Point in the dark, and I'm coming to a C-Dory gathering, and there's about 10 boats here, and they knew I was coming. Dan also belongs to the Nebo, or has the Nebo feature on his boat. So he has been guiding me along and keeping track of where I was at. And so when I got here, it was dark, 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 dark. And the guys, Dan told me what slip to go into, and the guys were on the end of the docks with some flashlights to show me where to go, and then they were down in my slip to help me get into the slip. So things worked really well. They helped me get in, they helped me get settled. It was really fantastic. And then after all that was done, then I was able to go take a much needed shower. And oh, did that shower feel good after like 6 days of no shower. So that's today's update. I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you very much. If you already haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. And when you do subscribe, you got that little bell. Click on the bell so you're notified every time I upload a video. Also, you may want to take a look at my Patreon site, see if that's something you might be interested in. If you are, you are. If you're not, you're not. That's okay. So that's the end. Thank you very much, and may all your seas be calm. Take care.